Welcome to this edition of our SMA International News for the month of September. In this edition, we have stories from Rome, where we hear about the defense of a doctoral thesis by Father Charles Adjumani. Then to Zambia, we revisit a community housing project that was started in 2006. And finally to Italy, where we hear about the celebrations of gold and diamond jubilees by two of our Italian members. First, we go to Rome. The Church is missionary in its essence, and as such, we need people, especially SMAs, who specialize in what the Church is by nature. This is what Father Charles Adjumani, SMA, did by defending his doctoral thesis on missiology at the Pontifical Urbaniana University at Rome.
Identity Conflict in Intercultural Encounters, a missiological study of Gwakombo, the black student of Ake Loba Gerard. Such was the theme of the doctoral thesis of Father Charles Kowakau Adjumani. The defence of the thesis took place in Rome at the Pontifical Urbaniana University on July 21st. Defence which saw the participation of members of the Ivorian Catholic community in Rome, the ambassador of the Ivory Coast to the Holy See, and the members of the community of Noceta, headed by the Superior General.
We have just attended the defence of the thesis of Father Charles Adjumani. He's been recognised as a doctor, and the jury has asked that his thesis be published in full, which is a great honour. I'm happy because today we need our members to help us understand everything evolving around missionology. The basis for this thesis was an Ivorian novel, Kukumbo, the black student of Ake Lobo Gerard. And from the novel, Charles tried to tackle the issue of interior conflicts. Not only conflicts in society as a whole, but conflicts as a person who feels torn between two entities. And he even underlined that the conflict is a kairos, a favourable time, an opportunity for missionology, or rather for evangelization. From this conflict, see what is good in the light of the gospel that reveals ourselves to ourselves. I am happy with this thesis. It is a good thing for the future. The jury even asked Charles, when he goes to teach in Abidjan, to meet with others who have studied here at Urbaniana, to create a network of studies and contribute to deepening the themes of missiology in Africa and from Africa. I'm very happy for this.
And now to Zambia. While working in Zambia in 2006, Father Anthony Kelly, SMA, who was the regional leader at the time, he saw the acute need for a housing project to accommodate people living on the streets and also people living with HIV/AIDS. Father Anthony recently visited the Tafwane housing project and saw how it had benefited a community in Kitwe. This was the work of the SMA, which reached out to the most abandoned.
When Father Anthony Kelly SMA worked in Zambia, he was involved in many projects. One that was particularly successful began from his observation of the local customs and culture.
What they have in Zambia was property grabbing. And when their husbands died with HIV/AIDS, the family came and grabbed anything, whether it was chairs or furniture, and even in one case, they took the roofing sheets off the house, where this woman was staying. So I happened to be visiting that house that day, as I didn't know that the man had died. I went to visit both of them, and this is what I saw. I saw her father-in-law and her brother-in-law taking the roofs off the house, and I said, "What's happening?" And she said, "Father, this is what's happening. This is our custom in Zambia." And I felt very sad. And I said, "Well, if I can do anything," and that's what inspired me to do this housing project, to see that woman having no place to stay. And I said, "Okay, if I can do anything, I will try." And I did. Then I said, I invited them to a meeting. The target when we started in 2006 was to build 52 houses for the young people, the vulnerable young people and vulnerable women. And so we're on course for that, because this year we managed to complete 10 houses already, and then there are 12 foundations dug, and we're ready to start the next 12 houses as soon as the rainy season is finished. So by January we'll start again for another 12 houses. So far this year, the great thing that this rainy season now, which started about a month ago, there are 10 new people able to go into their new homes from people who had nothing, very poorly built houses, and now at least they're in shelter, and they're very proud of them because they built them themselves.
Returning was a great joy. To meet old friends, to see the changed lives of those who were the most abandoned.
I recognised lots of faces there that I had helped to help themselves, really, way back from 2008 until 2013. We had this building project to help people who were on the street to build their own homes. Well, at the beginning, people they needed a leader. They needed somebody to just to start something going, to give them hope. The people they were on the street and they had no plan for their lives, and some of them then had HIV. They were HIV positive, the women, and that was a terrible, sad story to hear that you're HIV positive. But when we met them, there were 200 of them there at that time, way back in 2007 and 8, and we gave them hope to see if they can do something for themselves. The plan was, when I started that project, that they would not get these houses free for nothing, but we gave them the idea was that they would pay back the equivalent of 1 bag of cement each month. And so they have a fund there now, and they're using this fund now to help them to get the deeds for their houses. So I was very impressed by them, that they have stayed together as a group. There's a community spirit there that wasn't there at the start, obviously, but that whole area, we got a patch of land that time from the council, about, I'd say, 5 or 6 acres, and the people built these houses on it. But there was another 50 acres one side. That's all built on now by houses and people who built their private houses on that.
And finally we go to Italy, where 2 of our confreres there, Father Leonello Melchiori and Father Lorenzo Rapetti, celebrated respectively 50 and 60 years of priestly anniversary. They share with us how their journey has been over the years so far.
On June 25th, on the occasion of the death of the founder, the provincial house of Genoa, I celebrated the feast of my 50 years of priesthood. I was ordained in my native village by a Bishop Savarian, who was in China.
The only word that is appropriate for a Jubilee celebration is thank you. 50 years for Father Leonello, 60 years for myself. It is a gift from God. Thank you to the Lord who called us to the priesthood and to the mission. Thank you to our families. Thank you to our educators. And thank you especially to the SMA who trained us, who accompanied us.
When I was in Africa, I mostly lived with French confreres. I thank all those fathers who welcomed me and who made me discover the mission with varied faces. I thank especially Father Tepau, who was the first to receive me at Abengauru in Ivory Coast, Father Marcelise, and then the other fathers who were at Abengauru.
I had the chance to do my theology in Lyon, where I was ordained at the Epiphany in 1963, and Fathers Michel Guichard and Pierre Jaboulet are still there, and they can thank the Lord with me. I have built there some very deep ties with many confreres of all ages, whom I later found on mission in Africa, but also in the services I performed here for the SMA as General Bursar, Provincial Bursar, ICMA, Diocesan Administrator. I believe that the internationality is the wealth of the SMA. The links that I have forged with confreres of all ages have enriched me. Each country brings something specific, its values, its customs, its traditions, which are largely positive. So thank you very much to the SMA.
And this brings us to the end of our SMA news for the month of September. We hope that you will join us again next month, where we will have new stories and information about SMA mission.